Hey everybody, thanks for your patience. We're going to get started here in just a couple minutes. We have a few stragglers and we hope to get in here by 1:30, so we're going to start here at 1:30. Again, while you're eating today, we're going to have a season video. Don't forget to check out the raffle tables while you're eating. If you need some more tickets, eating the soup. Don't forget the spirit bear in the corner. And again, off your table, please help yourself to the pictures, leave the centerpieces and the frames, and then look at the pictures for the seniors, but that's for them to keep. All right, we'll just get started here in a minute or so. All right, good afternoon, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started. If you can take a seat. We'll wait for Q. It's okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving, and welcome to the 2020 East High Football Banquet. My name is Rick Fox. I'm the public address announcer voice for the Panthers for the last 14 seasons, and I'm excited to be with you again today. In what is probably the craziest year of my life, I'll be 53 in February, and I don't think I've ever experienced anything like 2020. Before we get started with the event today, I usually have a couple opening remarks. We'll handle the most important thing I'm sure everybody was concerned about right now, which is Coach Cooper had meat this week for the first time in how many days, Coach? 137 days. He went vegetarian for 137 days, and Thanksgiving got him. Like it gets the rest of us. So 2020, what a year. Like I said, it's forgettable and memorable all at the same time, huh? It's in many ways, there's so much to forget. You know, the pandemic this year, being trapped at home. How many of you are working from home now that didn't work home before? Yeah. Man, my wife's about sick of me so bad right now. And my son works in the same company I do. He's also working at home. So I got 6 grown-ups at my house right now, and it feels very claustrophobic. All the sports that got canceled, I mean, we're excited we could at least celebrate today. I mean, if you played on the lacrosse team in the spring, you had nothing to celebrate, right? If you played on the you were the track and field team of the baseball team, you had nothing to celebrate this year. You know, all the fear and the panic. You couldn't even go to the movies. You couldn't go to a restaurant. You couldn't, go out and spend time with your friends and family. Of course, all the folks that, jobs put aside. Employment was so high this summer. Some things remain the same. I think most of us were able to stay COVID-free this year. I was lucky enough, we're all lucky enough to stay COVID-free this year. LeBron made the finals again. Phillies and the Eagles and the Cowboys still stink. So some things don't change no matter what happens, no matter what the calendar says. And some things actually got a little better this year. You know, one of the first things I saw this summer was that air pollution was down like 30 or 40% because we were all trapped at home and there wasn't as much other activities, industrial activities going on, so the air got cleaner. More people voted in this fall election than in the history of voting. 155 million people or something like that voted for the presidency, so that's an amazing thing about America. When our backs up against it, we realize that what's important and we go out and show what we care about. And this was the first year, I think we got a real sense of social justice. Justice for all, that we started seeing everybody on a more equal footing and continue to improve that. I think as a human race, that's only going to make us feel better as human beings, and certainly make us better as people overall. So there are some things to take away from 2020 that I think we can look forward to for next year. And of course, being here together with each other today to celebrate the hard work of the young men and the coaches and the coaching staff and everybody who really with Booster Club tried to make this as regular a season as we could possibly have it. So let's make sure we take a minute to thank ourselves and congratulate ourselves today for all the hard work. Have a nice round of applause to the Booster Club. I'm very lucky that Dr. Rawls is a very involved principal, so we're very lucky that we have a good administration at Eastside. I know Coach will mention a little bit about that too, and certainly I've worked for Mr. Goldthorpe for 14 years, doing not just football, but basketball and wrestling, and soccer and field hockey and lacrosse as well at Landis Field. So I think a great support from the school administration. Let's get right into the program today. Since we're running a little behind, we might as well start the festivities. Let me welcome to the stage the president of the Booster Club, Ms. Nancy Armstrong.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the 2021 Eastside Football Banquet. I want to thank everybody for coming and supporting the players, the organization, and the school during this time. This year has been unique, trying, and unconventional to say the least. The parents, the board members, and especially the players, I want to thank. You guys showed this year what it is to be a brotherhood, what it is to be a team, what it is to just unite and stay together no matter what's going on this year. And you guys made it through. In the beginning, we were afraid that we weren't going to have a season. It was rough. We had to adjust everything that we normally would do. A lot of changes, a lot of last-minute changes. And I just want to thank everybody for their patience with that. I know a lot of emails have been going out, and it's always, oops, sorry, we can't now, or things, we had to reschedule, we had to cancel a lot of things. So I appreciate everybody's patience. I know you're probably sick of my emails, probably sick of Kim's emails, but that's the only way we can get the word out to everybody. The only thing else I want to say is, as we mentioned, across the tables on the side over here are raffles. We also have 50-50 going around. We'll announce the winners of that later. You got a ticket on the way in. That's our door prize for some gift cards that we'll announce. You'll also see a lot of pictures throughout the room on the tables, against the walls and frames. You guys are welcome to any and all of them. The only thing I ask is that you don't take the frames, just take the picture out of the frames and leave the frames where they are because we use them every year. Also the centerpieces, if you can leave those too, because I know a lot of them like to take them home as keepsakes, but we use those every year as well. Also on the table are ballots for next year's election for the board. So if you can take your time and fill it out. When you're done, just lay it on the table in the back on your way out. Other than that, that's all I have to say, and I just thank everybody for this year.
All right, thank you, Nancy, and thank you for all the work that you and all Booster Club does to make these kind of events happen. Before we do a little switch to the order here. We'll do the invocation after we do our guest speakers. We have a couple of guest speakers today. How classic 2020 is it? We have one here and one's going to be on Zoom. So we'll have one live and one on the cameras. So when we get to that part, you turn your attention down to the big screen, and that's where they'll show the season highlight video as well down at the end of the screen during dinner. I'll call up Coach JD here to introduce our speakers for today.
Thank all you guys for coming. First of all, I know it's, I know we'll say it over and over again, the challenging times that we're in right now. So it really means a lot to our boys and to our program that you guys could all make it out today to help celebrate these guys and the things that they've done and their successes. I'll do all the other stuff later on. I want to bring up, when we were looking for speakers, I know you guys saw the program this year, and I know we had talked several years about how we could connect kind of the past with the present. And, Kim Thomas and the Booster Club ladies came up with a great idea about making it a throwback year. So, we reached out to some of the guys who were known for having that pride in East High. And I think you can see in some of the pictures, I think they posted some of the records that those guys had when they were here. And talking with Mr. DeLutis, throughout the course of the week and some of our conversations, and back when he played, I won't get into all that. I'll let him do that. But it brings a sense of pride, and I know some of the new coaches that we have this year also played at East, and that's kind of what we want to get to. We want it to be a family, and we want it to be a family of tradition, and it has to start somewhere, and that's what we're looking at building. All right, one block at a time. All right, so two of our speakers today, Mr. Joe DeLutis and Mr. Barry Wells, will be on Zoom. But again, when they played here at East, the tradition was rich. All right, and he's going to talk a lot about that and talk about the things that he wanted to talk about. I didn't have to. He asked me, what do you want me to talk about, coaches? Does this sit well? Is this what you're trying to teach the kids? There was not one thing that we need to change, because I knew everything that he had put down is things we want to put into our boys and into our kids. All right, so I'll let him get into all of that. Mr. Joe DeLutis.
It's really an honor to be here. The message that I'm going to give to you today comes directly from legendary Coach Lou Holtz from Notre Dame. I'm a big advocate of the principles that he teaches in his Do Right inspirational video series. What I'm about to talk about strictly comes from him. It's not from me, but it's something I truly believe in, and I think it will help you become successful. Coach referred to me as Mr. DeLutis. Mr. DeLutis is my father. He served under Patton in World War II. I'm nothing like my dad. I can never be the man he is. I can only try. I'm very proud to be his son. So let's get on with it. So Joe DeLutis and Barry Wells, who are they? What do I have in common with them? Well, Barry and I were student athletes here at Central Dauphin East. We are graduates of CD East, and we're hoping that you all become graduates from CD East. Coach, we aren't sure about some of them, right? But hopefully you'll become graduates as well, and as proud of East as we are. So what do I have in common with Joe DeLutis and Barry Wells? Well, of course, we're graduates. We all went to East. We're student athletes. We played for coaches who cared about us as people and who cared to teach us about the game of football and the game of life. I had a long talk with the coach last night, and I'm firmly convinced that he cares deeply about each and every one of you. And he wants you to be a success on and off the field. The final thing we have in common is something you probably don't think about too often. We share the fact that throughout our lives we're going to be encountering problems, difficulties, issues, challenges. And how we face those challenges can make us stronger and better people. I firmly believe that. Holtz preaches it, and I follow that, and I believe that too. Like Lou Holtz, I believe there's a God or a higher power, and I believe that he has given us, or she has given us, a lot of wonderful powers. And the greatest power that we're given is the power to choose. See, we choose whether we're going to be positive, negative, happy, sad. We choose whether we're going to succeed or whether we're going to fail. Really, Joe, we choose whether we're going to succeed or fail or be happy. Well, then why isn't everybody happy and everybody succeeding? Well, there's this little thing called adversity. It creeps up when you're faced with challenges and problems and issues. And a lot of times when we're faced with adversity, as Holt says, people shy away from it. People become afraid of it. People become discouraged by it. And therefore they give up. And they don't achieve their true potential. If you really look at things in life, people who achieve things usually have had to overcome difficulties in order to do it. You know, I think about Dr. David Hartman. Dr. David Hartman graduated from my alma mater, Gettysburg College. A doctor. Well, what's so great about that, Joe? There's thousands of doctors in this world. David Hartman was the first blind person to graduate from medical school in the United States. Can you imagine the number of times he was told, you can't do this, you'll never succeed? It's impossible. He overcame adversity because he had the right attitude. Jim Abbott. Who's Jim Abbott? Jim Abbott was a professional baseball player. He pitched for the Anaheim Angels, and he pitched for the New York Yankees. In fact, I'm 99% sure that Jim Abbott pitched a no-hitter in Yankee Stadium. Geez, Joe, there's a lot of guys that pitch no-hitters in Major League Baseball. Jim Abbott has 1.5 arms. Imagine the number of times he was told, you won't make it. A story about myself. When I went to Bishop McDevitt, coming out of grade school, my first year at McDevitt, I averaged over 100 yards receiving a game. It was a freshman football, but I averaged over 100 yards a game. Next year, I didn't even dress varsity unless somebody got sick or somebody got injured. Okay? It was a very difficult time for me. I decided midway through the season, it's probably time for me to change. We played CD East when I was a sophomore. Clyde Peters is here. Clyde was on that team for CD East. I was on the other sideline. I was on McDevitt's sideline. I guess I was fortunate enough to dress that way. CD East beat McDevitt 68-6. There were two players that did not enter the game for McDevitt that night. I can't say I'm proud to be the one, one of the two that didn't play that night, but I didn't play that night. So I decided it's time to transfer. End of the season, I fulfilled out my obligation. You should always fulfill your obligations. End of the season, I decided it's time to move on. Sat in office with Coach Deb at the time. He basically told me in a nice way, and this is my interpretation of the conversation, why are you going to transfer to East? You won't play there. I went on to play 2 seasons of CD East. My senior year, I was voted one of the tri-captains in the 1976 championship team that finished number 6 in the state of Pennsylvania. Believe in yourself and you can accomplish things. As Holt says, adversity is just another way to measure the greatness of an individual. You think about that. It truly is. There are 3 principles that Holt gives to help us become successful, and I firmly believe in them. They will help you become successful. They will help you have a stronger self-image. The 3 simple things that he preaches: do what's right, do the best you can, and treat others as you'd like to be treated. I'll expound just a little bit on each of these. When we're faced with any decisions in our life, there's a little voice in our head, as Holt says, it's called your conscience. That voice tells you whether what you're about to do is the right thing to do. Now, we sometimes choose what we think is more comfortable, better for us, but it's not the right thing to do. We know deep down inside, when we hear that voice, whether it's the right thing to do. And when we choose not to listen to that, it can affect our self-image. You may not know it, but it does. Listen to the voice. Listen to your conscience and do the right thing. Second thing Holtz talks about is doing the best you can at all times. See, like him, I believe that people don't have the same talent levels. I'm not as talented as Chase Edmonds, who's playing in the NFL. Okay? But you know, the one thing I believe in is I can challenge myself to be the best I can be at all times. And Holtz preaches that to his players, he preaches it to business people, and he's right. You challenge yourself to be the best you can be. Our 1976 team, preseason, was picked to finish, I believe, 4th or 5th in a 17 division. 4th or 5th in a 17 division. We went on to become the number 6th rated team in the state. How'd that happen? We challenged ourselves to be the best we could be. We had trust, commitment, and love. We were a real team. We cared for one another. When you treat each other that way, there's nothing in this world that you can't seemingly accomplish. I recently talked to one of our coaches, and I stay in touch with our coaches. I'm 61 years old. I'm still calling our coaches up from time to time. What does that tell you about the men that they were? Coaches that they were. And I firmly believe Coach B is just like them. And he will be there for you. No matter if you're 17 years old, 15 years old. I'd like to say 61, but that would mean I'm way older than Coach, and that would be a disservice. But as you get older, I'm sure that Coach is going to pick up that phone when you call him. I talked to my coach recently and I said, what was it about us that was different? He said, you guys were my all-time favorite team to coach because you you guys had a will to succeed. You had a belief in yourselves and a work ethic that I've never seen before. I was honored when I heard that. Still feel good about it today. He often tells me, Coach Phillips often tells me, you guys are overachieving. When you put your mind to it, you can achieve so many things. Do the best you can. Let me tell you a lesson that I learned when I was 10 years old. It stuck with me now for 51 years. It's as if it happened yesterday. Grew up in a family of 5 children. My father served under Pack in World War II. He was a tough man, he was fair, and he was the most loving person I ever met in my life, other than my mother, maybe. We ate dinner every night at 5 o'clock together as a family, and I hope that somehow you families can arrange to have a special time with each other once a week or more. I know it's hard in these times, but the interaction that you can have with one another is very special, and it's very meaningful, and it changes our lives in a profoundly positive way. But anyway, we would eat 5 o'clock every night. And that one morning I woke up, had breakfast with my dad and my 2 brothers. They worked together. Before he left for work, my dad looked at me and he said, Joe, I have one thing for you to do tonight, if you don't mind. I'd like you to have the grass cut before I come home. I'm 10 years old. Sure, Dad, I'll do that. Around 4:45, I look at my buddies and I'm out messing around, playing baseball, swimming, whatever. And it's 4:45 and I'm not home yet. What time is it, fellas? 4:45. My legs couldn't pedal that bike fast enough. I got home, I cut the grass. Fortunately for me that night, my dad was a little bit late coming home from work. I sat down at the table with the rest of the family. Now, you have to understand, big Italian family, we're touching, feeling, hugging. It's a glorious event every meal. And I had to sit at one end of the table looking directly at my dad because I was the youngest in the family, youngest boy of the family. I looked right at my dad every night. Never forget, my mom used to cook these great dinners. They were to die for. We're all piling up food on the plates. My dad waits until I pile the food on my plate and about ready to start after we say grace. And my dad looks at me and he says, son, can I have a minute with you out on the porch? This is 51 years ago. I remember so clearly. We got out on the porch, my dad looks at the grass, looks at me, looks at the grass, looks at me, and he says, son, did you cut the grass today? We were raised in a religious family. I couldn't lie to him. I said, yeah, I cut the grass. And I'll never forget what he said next. And it stuck with me my entire life. Son, did you do the best you could? Sheepishly, I looked at him and said, no, I didn't. What he said next, I'll never forget. I think maybe you ought to go out and cut the grass while we eat. I cut the grass while my brothers and sisters and my dad and mom ate. And it taught me something that has stuck with me my whole business career. Don't hide behind anything. Don't hide behind a company. Do the best you can be at all times. I'll never forget that lesson. See, you have to put your name on the line every time you encounter a task. And the final thing that Holtz advocates is that we treat others as we want to be treated. Okay? For those of you who are religious and believe, it's often called the golden rule. I firmly believe that we wouldn't have problems of racism, political problems that we have, arguing between political parties, religious wars. We just did one simple thing. If we treat others as we want to be treated, it's very simple. It's not rocket science. When you treat other people the way you want to be treated, you lift them up. And you lift yourself up. You feel better about yourself. And they feel better about themselves. And when that happens, there's a unity and a belief in each other. You can accomplish many great things with that in place. You know, our 76 team, boy, we loved one another. We treated each other the same. Maybe not always, but most of the time I think we did. And I think it's pretty clear that's why we were successful. So I'd like to challenge you with one final thought. I challenge you guys to follow those principles, put your name on the line in everything you do, and to become a builder. What's a builder? Well, there's a simple poem that I like that Holtz taught in his series. I saw a group of men in my hometown. I saw a group of men tearing a building down. With a heave and a hoe and a mighty yell, the swung the beam and the sidewall fell. I asked the foreman of these men's skill, the kind you hire if you wanted to build. And he laughed and said, well, no, indeed. Common labor is all I need. For I can tear down in a day or two what it took a builder 10 years to do. So I walked away. I thought to myself, which of these roles am I going to play? Am I the type that builds with care in hopes that my community, my organization, my family would be glad I was there? Am I the type that tears down while I make my way foolishly around? Congratulations. Work hard and bring East back to prominence. Thank you.
I can. Hi, Nancy. How are you? Doing well, thank you. Okay, great. I'd like to say thank you to Mr. Fox, Ms. Armstrong, Ms. Thomas, the boosters, Coach Bland and his staff, and to my childhood friend, teammate, and brother, Joe DeLuis, or Joey D as he's affectionately known, for the opportunity to be with you today. I had a mentor that once told me, when you have an opportunity to speak to a group, be bold, be brief, and be gone. That's exactly what I intend to do today. My name is Barry Wells. I'm a 1978 graduate of East High School. I was a junior in the starting safety on East High's first South Central League championship team in 1976, a team ranked 6th in the state of PA. In 1977, my senior year, I was selected by my teammates to be a tri-captain. I can tell you that being part of the 1976 championship team, remembering how we took care of one another, how we played for one another, helped me prepare to be a captain in 1977. So what I want to talk to you about this afternoon is teamwork and tradition. TNT, a powerful combination. Let's talk first about teamwork. Most people think that because you wear the same helmet, the same jersey, the same pants, because you are referred to as the CD East Panther football team, that you are indeed a team. The truth of the matter is, you're not a team. You are a member of the CD East Panther football program, a team in name only. You're not a team because you wear the same uniform and play together. You become a team when you respect, trust, and care for each other. And until you become a team, there is no true sense of teamwork. So what made the 1976 team so special? We were a team in every sense of the word. We respected each other, we trusted each other, we cared about each other, and we had each other's backs in any situation. We believed that together, everyone achieves more, and that there is no I in team. We put all of our personal differences aside, despite all that was going on around us. Racial tension, prejudice, peer pressures, you name it. And we formed an unbreakable bond, one that holds true even to this day. Every person on that team had a role, they knew their role, they accepted their role, and they believed that their role was important and critical to the team's success. In other words, we understood the power of teamwork. And because we were a team, we were convinced that as long as we worked together, we could beat anyone that we faced. We understood the importance of accountability and held each other to the Panther Pride standard. Accountability for taking care of our schoolwork, keeping our grades up, because we wanted to be at full strength for every game. Taking care of our bodies, getting to practice, attending workouts. Also held each other accountable for being good citizens in the school building, at home, and in our community. And as Joe said, making good decisions. But most importantly, we held each other accountable for protecting and preserving the East High football tradition. Because playing football for East High was a privilege and not a right. I've read a lot about successful football players, and the bottom line is, they don't do it alone. It always takes a team. So let's talk about tradition. Definition of tradition is a long established belief that has been passed on from one generation to another, or in this case, from one CD East football team to another. Joe talked about 4 things that we have in common with you, and I'd like to add one more. We, all of us, are responsible for protecting, adding to, and advancing the tradition that is CD East football. From a tradition perspective, the 1976 team was a special group because we recognized and were fully aware that we would not be the first East High team nor the last East High football team to win a championship. What we did know was that we had in front of us a chance to leave our mark and advance the East High football tradition. We welcomed it, we embraced it, and took full advantage of that opportunity by finishing 9-1 and winning a championship. When opportunity knocked, we answered the door. One of my biggest dreams came true when in 2010, having coached high school football for some 23 years, I was blessed to be named head varsity football coach at Mount Vernon High School here in Alexandria, Virginia. It was my first time ever as a head coach. I was selected to be the head coach even though I was not an educator and I did not work in the school building. The good news was that I got the position. The bad news was that in 2009, the season before I took over, Mount Vernon went 0-10. I had a lot of work to do. And my number one task was to convince my team that they were not an 0-10 ball club. With a lot of hard work and dedication, we went from being the Mount Vernon football program to becoming the Mount Vernon football team. That hard work and dedication with a relentless commitment to restore the Mount Vernon football tradition propelled us into the 2010 playoffs. And now I'd like to talk to the seniors. To the seniors, it is my sincere belief that you did your part to preserve the CD East High football tradition. In a very tough season, you led by example. You did not give up. You showed up. And for that, you should hold your heads high. You did not give up on yourselves or your teammates. I watched almost every game via YouTube, so I know this to be true. You continue to show up every Friday night, ready to do battle. Let's keep it real. We all take L's in our lives. The difference is how you take it. If the L means loss to you, then you lose. But if the L means lesson to you, then you learn, you improve, and you move forward. Trust me when I say that you will be better men for the perseverance you displayed this season, and I commend each and every one of you. Best of luck to each of you in your future endeavors. Now to the juniors, the sophomores, and the freshmen. I challenge you to do your part to restore, preserve, and advance the rich East High football tradition that Coach Blandy mentioned earlier. It will not be easy. Nothing worth achieving ever is. We all know it's easy to be all in when things are going your way and things are going well. But how you bounce back from this season will expose who you are and what you're made of. You have a responsibility to those who came before you, to the seniors who are leaving, to your teammates, and to yourselves to protect and advance our football tradition. East High football has a long-standing tradition of being successful, fiercely competitive, and extremely tough. We're a football team that conducts itself with the utmost class. And that, gentlemen, is what Panther Pride is all about. Another great tradition that is near and dear to my heart was singing the alma mater at pep rallies and after each home game. Above our schools, our colors fly, our black and white so bold. We shall forever honor thee as ever we grow old. Lift your hearts and sing it out. The East shall rise to fame. Our alma mater, we shall praise. Central Dauphin, East, her name. Those words should fill you up with pride. Always remember that Panther football players from the past are watching from afar to see if our football tradition is in good hands. I can assure you, some are watching right now on the YouTube streaming video. My closing thought, the strength of the team is each individual member. But more importantly, the strength of each member is the team. Gentlemen, make no mistake and do not be misled. There is no substitute for mental and physical preparation. You, and only you, control the attitude and level of effort that you bring each day to school, to the football field, and in your life. So what I would say to you is, put in the work, take the coaching, and trust the process. When you take the field next season, leave no question, leave no doubts that Panther Pride is still very much alive and well. So Coach Blandy and Joe, if I can get your help, what I'd like to do is I'd like to get a breakdown. Is that okay, Coach Blandy? Okay. So what I'd like you to do, and parents, I'd like you to join in with us. We're going to say Panther Pride on 3. But I need the people here in Virginia to hear you. And I need the people there at the Best Western to know that there are Panthers in the building. Please do not say it if you're not going to say it like you mean. Joe, is everybody ready? Panther pride on 3. Panther pride on me. 1, 2, 3. I wish each of you continued good health and safety during these challenging times. Take care of yourselves, take care of one another. I cannot thank enough for this wonderful opportunity. I am humbled and truly honored to be a part of this event. Thank you again. And God bless.
Is that better? There we go. All right. Thank you, Barry. Thank you, Joe. Those of you, Joe also referee basketball games, and you guys that come to the games know I usually give good nicknames to all the referees during the game. So he's Joe DeLutis, so glad Joe could be with us today. We'll transition here to lunch. We'll show the video during the meal today. If you all bow your heads, we'll say our prayer. Dear Lord, thank you for this chance to be together today. Thank you for keeping us all safe and healthy enough that we can share in the reward and the recognition of the effort of these young men and their coaches and their families to try and make the best that they can of this season. We hope that you stay with us during the holidays and throughout the rest of this school year as we continue to look for health, strength, and love from each other, and that we serve your wishes and goals at all times. We ask this in your name. Amen. The hotel staff will give you directions and then release your tables as we go along here. Hope you enjoy your meal. Thanks.